First things first, do you want to give us your name and talk about where you're living right now?
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Disher, and right now we live in Fairfield Glade, Tennessee, which is considered Middle Tennessee. It's kind of the eastern side of in Tennessee is West, Middle, and East Tennessee. Um, yeah, you want me to talk about Fairfield Glade?
Yeah, of course.
So the mailing address is actually Crossville. That's all one word. And Fairfield Glade is a community inside of Crossville that, or as they say in Tennessee, Crossville. It's 14,000 acres, which is 22 square miles. It's got, I just checked these facts, 5,400 homes, 9,000 residences. And there's all variety of homes here. It's one of the things that attracted us. There's condos. Wyndham Resorts has a large resort community of villas and condos. So people, we get quite a bit of people that come to play the golf courses here. Five championship golf courses, gorgeous golf courses. These golf courses in my old days in Michigan would have cost $30,000 to $50,000 to join. They work on them every day. We live on one of the holes. In 11 lakes.
Wow.
So they're all no wake lakes. So essentially fishing boats and pontoon boats. So there's so many things to do. I think there's 70 different groups you can join. They've got a racket club, pickleball, inside and out. You got all the stuff, you kayaking, boating, you can rent boats on the lakes. Just really a rich place to, lots of activities.
Excellent. So what are your, like, you have heard, you've already talked about this, but what are some of your favorite things about Fairfield?
You know, honestly, our favorite thing is the people. So we've lived in 7 states and 6 different cities. And we've never met consistently. And it doesn't matter if they're local people or they're people that have moved here. I don't know if it's in the water or what, but they're just such nice people. We really love it. In the retail shops, you meet nice people. This is I think they call it an age-targeted community, so it's not age-restricted. So I would say generally people are retired. I don't know what percentage, but probably 50, 60%, I'm guessing. And the people that are working, I would guess, are working out of their houses. So people kind of have some time on their hands. It's, it's an older demographic, to be sure, but I think all the communities say this, but there's younger people moving in. So, but just nice people. That really is our favorite. I would say next to that, probably golf, and then the lakes. We're on the waiting list to get into the marina. So we've done a lot of boating, and this will be our 9th boat, I think.
Wow.
So yeah,
Nice.
Not the greatest investment plan, but it's worked for us.
Mm-hmm. Right. On the flip side, what are some things that you could live without or maybe wish were different about where you live?
Well, one of the things, so can I tell you how we got here? Because that kind of dovetails. So we were living in Punta Gorda, Florida, and we had a 41-foot cruiser boat, cruised all over the West Coast and the Keys. And once we sold that, it became hard to justify the heat. Well, as it turns out, the guy that we sell it to and his wife came over after they bought the boat, about a week after. And I said, hey, I got some ropes and different things you might be interested in. So they came over, and my wife, Kim, and his wife, Carla, were having a little sidebar conversation. She said, well, ever since we sold our place in Fairfield Glade, Tennessee, we just thought we'd buy, a big boat again. We've done the boating. Oh, well, tell us about Fairfield Glade. And so well, the weather, you had mild winters and, she's 11 lakes and golf courses. And we had been looking for a place that had a more moderate climate for a couple of years. And it's a bit of a unicorn. It's really hard to find something that doesn't have extreme cold or extreme heat. And that was what they said here. Well, as it turns out, this year was a pretty wild year for lots of places weather-wise. And so the one thing I could do without would be the colder weather in January and February. It was unseasonably cold. Now, today it was in the 60s. It's going to be cold on Saturday. We're going to actually get snow, which is pretty unusual. But then next week it'll be in the 60s and 70s. So, Florida was too hot. Michigan was too cold. We're right in the middle. So they call people, this wasn't our route, but people that move from the north and they go to Florida and then they land in Tennessee, they call them halfbacks. I guess they're halfway back.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. That's funny. So you kind of mentioned this already a little bit as well, but where else have you lived all? Like where else?
We started, born and raised I spent 41 winters in a row in Detroit area. And then moved to Dallas, Texas, and then Long Beach, California, Austin, Texas, Fort Myers, Florida, Punta Gorda, Florida, back to Fort Myers, and now Fairfield Glade. So we moved kind of coast to coast. We boated on, Atlantic, Pacific, Great Lakes, inland lakes, Gulf of Mexico, all kinds of stuff. So we enjoy the boating. So anyway, this is, everything is about compromise, right? I mean, it's really hard to check every box. We've actually moved 12 times in 25 years. This feels like we've arrived.
That's wonderful. So which of those moves would you say was your biggest, like culture shock wise?
Culture shock. I don't know. Not really any culture shocks, I would say. There's nice people everywhere. California, from Dallas to California was different. I wouldn't call it a shock. But you got the ocean and the beaches, and we lived in Long Beach, so we could get to San Diego. It was 100 miles. It was a couple hours. We could get to Santa Barbara in 30 miles. We could get to Palm Springs. It was just ridiculously expensive, and that's ultimately what drove us out of there. And it's gotten more expensive since. But the natural resources and the beauty of that state is just phenomenal. So I don't. Austin was, we live close to downtown. Austin is, a cab driver told us, was the liberal oasis of Texas. I wouldn't argue with that, but we got along with everybody. It really, Florida was, I always called Florida God's waiting room, because there's lots of old people. There's old people here too, So one day I walked into a restaurant in Fort Myers, and I thought, who are you kidding? It was, I looked around, there's all gray hair. And I said, who are you kidding, Jimmy? These are your people.
Do you have any tips or advice for people who might be making similar distance moves?
I oddly enough, I've looked at bestplaces.net for a very long time. And I tend to be heavy on the research side. So I want to get all my facts together, demographics, climate, not weather, but climate, certainly cost of living. So you got to do your research. Everybody knows about Zillow. I'm a licensed realtor. I'm not very active right now, but you got to get your facts, if you want to make a move, vet your realtor. You can go on realtor.com and get background information. Make sure, interview them. That could be a tremendous resource of local knowledge for you. Yeah, you just gotta tear it down as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Cost of living is real big. We're essentially retired now, so if I could just throw a couple other things out, our property taxes. So our house has gone up in value like most people's have, but we paid $555 for the house. Our property taxes are $1,600 a year. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Our water bills are about $30 a month. So the HOA fees, there is an HOA here, right? It's actually called a Property Owners Association, is $108 a month. It's $70 for the Property Owners Association, $30 for sewer, and $8 for trash.
Wow.
And that gives you access to all 5 golf courses, to all the marinas, the lakes. You actually get a membership card. You get discounts at the pro shops. The one thing I would say, I don't get as hung up about it, but in general, people complain about the lack of fine dining. And I'm a really good cook, so I can always cook better than anything I can buy out. But so you gotta, and things that you're out in kind of the middle of nowhere. So we're 60 miles to Knoxville and about 80 miles to Nashville. So Costco for us, we're Costco addicts. It's a 2-hour round trip.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get used to that. But we kind of lived out a little ways when we were in Punta Gorda, Florida, and we got used to it. Same with Austin. We ended up moving out west of town. That would be one thing that people generally, but I just sent out a list on Nextdoor of 31 restaurants. So we don't have a lot of chain. We don't have a Chili's. We don't have the Cheddars. We don't have those kind of places. We don't have the BJ's, but there's a lot of good places. So it doesn't bother us.
Nice. That's good to hear. All right. Well, we have kind of moved through all of my questions. So before we sign off, do you have anything else you would like to share?
No, it's just a very comfortable. It's got a very, very nice vibe. We live on the golf course. We can see the lake at the bottom. So we have but there's lots of really nice settings. There's all different types of housing, from condos to huge houses. The other thing I would also throw in, if people are looking, then consider renting for a while. Or here you could stay in the Wyndham resorts. They give you pretty decent rates. You can do a stay and play. They give you a discount on golf. So, yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It was lovely to get to know you. We can sign off now. Have a great evening.
You too, Alex. Thank you.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye.